Thank you all for being here with us today. As you saw in our press release, we are here to talk about vape pens, a growing problem we're seeing in Hillsborough County schools, and we have a PSA we're going to debut for you today as well. With that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guests who will be speaking, Sheriff Chad Chronister, Superintendent Jeff Akins, as well as School Board Member Cindy Stewart.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister. I want to start by thanking Superintendent Jeff Akins and School Board members Cindy Stewart and Steve Kona for being with us today and helping us put together an initiative in our county schools, which is a very important issue leading into the upcoming school year. It took decades of education back in the early 90s to teach teenagers that traditional smoking is a health risk. For a while, we saw less teens smoking, but those numbers have gone back up since e-cigarettes and vape pens were introduced around 2003. Vape pens especially are popular among teens because they're small and discreet. As you can see from the pictures behind me, some of them look no different than a USB drive. We certainly have an uphill battle as manufacturers of vape pens have been very clever in their advertising, leading people, including children, to believe that vaping is safe. Does anyone really believe that introducing unknown chemicals into our bodies is safe? In our schools, there are some students making poor decisions, not only to smoke, but to put illegal substances like THC oil inside those vape pens. We are here today to let teens and parents know that vape pens, e-cigarettes, and any tobacco products are not allowed on school campuses. But if you're caught with an illegal substance like THC oil or wax in your pen, the punishment will be harsh and possibly life-changing. You could be arrested and face a felony charge. A felony has long-term effects on your future. Everything from getting a job to going to college will be impacted. Today we are pleading with students to please put down the pens. It's just not worth messing up your life over smoking. I'm sure you all heard the phrase, "It takes a village to raise a child." Well, in this case, look up here and look around who's standing here, and you'll see part of that village here this morning. We care about every Hillsborough County student, and we don't want to see them ruin their future over vaping. We hope our new video message you'll see shortly that will be played in our schools will help drive that message home. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Superintendent Jeff Akins.
Thank you very much, Sheriff Chronister, and I'd be remiss with start of school right around the corner to once again thank you for your leadership here in Hillsborough County for helping all of our students be safe in our schools. Thank you so much. In 2018, roughly 25% of Florida high school students reported using electronic vaping. That's a 58% increase compared to 2017. Most of our students are making good choices. The ones that are not need to understand there's serious consequences. Cigarettes, electronic cigarettes, vape pens, or other forms of tobacco are not allowed on school campuses. Any student found in possession, using, distributing, or selling any products with tobacco will face discipline. They will receive a civil citation for a first offense. They will have to go in front of a judge to coordinate community service hours. At school, the consequences would be in-school suspension, and their parents will be hearing from us. Over the years, tobacco use in our schools has fluctuated. We definitely saw a rise in 2017-18 with 390 incidents involving tobacco. In 2016-17, we had 178 incidents involving tobacco, and in 2015-16, there were 253 incidents involving tobacco. We don't separate out all the different types of tobacco in our reports, but I know in talking with our principals, they have seen a big increase in vaping among students. The PSA we are debuting today will be shown on the morning show at all of our middle schools and high schools this year. Also, Each year, our administrators have student assemblies during the first week. They go over all of our policies and procedures. The principals will spend part of that time talking about vaping and how it can affect students' futures if they use it. We will also be sending an email to all middle and high school families with education tools and pictures of what a vape pen looks like. We want to get out this information to our students so they can make the right choice, not to vape. If they make the wrong choice, students, you need to understand there are consequences that can live with you forever. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm not going to speak for long. I just want to thank Sheriff Chronister and the superintendent and my colleagues who are here with me today. The district has had policy around vaping for some time, but we really just want to make sure that students understand the felony that goes with putting certain substances into a vape. This is a chronic problem in schools. We're having issues where we have discipline. We have sections of schools that are being closed down because administrators can't control, and we need not only for students and parents, but we need our educators and administrators to understand and know what vape pens look like and what students are doing with them. So thank you both for the video and for pushing out, put down the pen. We look forward to a great start to the school year and hopefully a reduction in the issue that we're seeing. Thank you.
Thank you. We want to not only get this message out to schools, but also meet students where they are on social media. We would now like for you to turn your attention to the screen and get a first look at our new PSA we're releasing called Put Down the Pen.
Vape pens. This little device is a growing problem among students in Hillsborough schools and across our community. Using a vape pen might seem like it's not a big deal.
But I'm here to tell you it can change your entire future. I'm Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Cronner.
And I'm Hillsborough School Superintendent Jeff Akins. If you're caught with a vape pen at school, you could face discipline or suspension.
And if that vape pen has anything else in it, like THC, oil, or wax, it's not only illegal, it's a felony, and you will be arrested. Having a felony on your record can be life-altering.
Your acceptance to college, getting financial aid or scholarships could be a risk. How will you go to school?
On every job application, you have to tell them that you're a felon. How would you get hired? Some apartments won't even rent to others. Do you want to live with your parents forever?
A felony is pretty severe. It's not something you're just going to deal with as a juvenile. So please, be smart.
Don't ruin your future over vaping. It's just not worth it.
Put down the pen.
Put down the pen. Put down the pen.
At this time, the superintendent and I will entertain any questions. Wow, we did that good of a job. This is a
You said a chronic problem. What are the most common type of substances found in the vape pens at school?
well, whatever chemical they put in it, obviously it contains nicotine, a very addictive substance. But I know that in the high schools, we've seen more of an increase where students are putting that THC oil in the vape pens. And this is a big push for education. We don't want to bring in enforcement when we speak of our children. We want to keep our children out of the criminal justice system. And it's important, the superintendent and I share the same philosophy when it comes to keeping children out of the criminal justice system. And that's why we're focused so heavily on this educational piece. I know Tobacco-Free Florida, they'll also be getting that in the schools. Anything we can do to make this more attractive than the manufacturers have with the vape pen. Because when you talk about having that THC substance, that THC oil in a vape pen, that's a felony. And unfortunately, as good as we've been, as progressive as we've been with all our different diversion programs, there's not a diversion program for a felony charge is what this will be. Anything to add to that, Superintendent?
Can you just kind of talk about you've got vape pens, you have Juuls, and we've done kind of various stories on these things. How have they kind of spread over the last couple of years in schools?
You want to?
So as Ms. Stewart had alluded, this is becoming, is growing very rapidly within our schools. And I think the one thing that, we have so many kids that make great choices in our schools, but we know sometimes they're misled, and sometimes the marketing around some of these things are misleading for our students, and then all of a sudden they start to do something that ultimately they have serious consequences. A lot of it is around the size and how it can be hidden and not, people can't see it. And all of a sudden, now you think everything is going well, and then the next thing you know, you have a student that is going into a bathroom. As Ms. Stewart said, we've had to perhaps close off certain areas of our schools because they were having chronic issues in certain locations. So we just know that we're going to be proactive now. We don't want to, as we start to see some of this growth, we know where it could potentially go if we don't educate, as the sheriff said. So we want to make sure we get out in front of this right now, make sure everyone's very, very clear about the consequences, make sure our students are aware of any tobacco product. There's going to be consequences within the school no matter what. But now if you ultimately, put something else in that particular vape pen that ultimately will create a felony for you, that will be life-changing, not the kind of life-changing we want to talk about here in Hillsborough County Public Schools.
Superintendent, you said it's easy, these things are so small. How can you really stop these kids from bringing them on campus?
Yeah, so that's going. We don't have them walking through any kind of system to detect them, when they come on the campus. So this is really about our kids, that they understand right from wrong, and so we have to really play on what we know our kids have a conscience for. They know they want to do the right thing. They know that their future is very bright if they make all the right decisions. So ultimately, this education portion of what we're going to do and the relationships that our faculty and the folks that are there at those schools form with those students ultimately will shape those students to make the right decisions. Because you're right, these are very much like in your pocket, somewhere on your possession that we will not be able to detect. So we're going to rely on and have confidence in our students and the people around them. They're going to guide them in the right direction and make the right decisions.
There's like nothing in it that's outside of what's doing, like just the no THC. Did you catch them? What happened?
Yeah, there's in-school suspension for students who have any kind of tobacco products on our campus, even if it doesn't have any THC oil in it. That's off limits to be on our campuses, and they know that. So that will ultimately fall into our disciplinary code.
Is anything being done to train the bus drivers on seeing what these devices look like?
Yeah. So this is that's a great question, because we have students contained into our classrooms every single day, but then we have 60 to 80 students on a bus with a driver facing forward, keeping them safe on the road. So a lot of this is going to be educating everyone across our school district about this. So we meet with our bus drivers. And matter of fact, we're having a meeting next week with all of our bus drivers. So these are the kinds of topics that all staff we need to build capacity, the understanding for all staff across Hillsborough County.